All right, you know what? We're gonna start with the speed round.
All right.
So we're coming in with the speed round. These are just short answer questions. Yes, no, true, false. One answer, one word answer kind of one. So quick ones. We'll we'll get a lot of info out. Boom.
All right.
All right. I'll go
Bruce?
first here.
Bruce, are you ready?
Oh, Bruce,
I'm
you ready?
Okay,
He's
because
ready.
you're going to answer these. I'm going to let you do it.
Kiss
Did-
my ass.
Did any German wartime K98k variant have finger grooves, and why not? If all the previous ones had them.
No, because that's old junk. No one needs it.
The only finger groove K98k equivalent would be an SS conversion or a police standard model conversion. That would be it.
Well,
Okay.
the late Gavera 98s and 98As, they had them.
Yep, my 98 has it.
Yeah,
That's-
but they got rid of that because it's not useful. In the 98K world, there's no such thing as finger groove stocks.
Nope.
In the K98K world, let me rephrase this. In the K98K world, there is no such thing as a finger groove stock. If you want to talk about standard model or, banner Ks.
Yeah, there's no straight 98k with finger grooves. There are conversions that look like K98ks that have finger grooves, but it didn't start its life as a K98k.
So there's a good thing to look out for.
There you go.
And actually, some of my favorite guns are the standard model, the K98 conversions. They're just cool as heck.
like the DRP ones.
No, they actually took standard models and they actually bent the bolt, got rid of the
Oh.
bottom sling, put the side sling in like a K98K, ground the stacking hook, changed the rear band, so it looks just like a 98K, but it's got a finger groove.
Clarify that Mauser Oberndorf did that.
They didn't.
They did not.
No, there was some. My guess is it was done at a police arsenal, unknown, but probably Spandau.
There you go. Heard it from the horse's mouth.
Learn something new every day.
That's one thing that we learned since the end of Volume 2 is that we've had a couple examples of standard model converted into short side rails that are legit, and they're all banners. And I'm pretty sure we kind of generically classifying as police conversions, and I'm pretty sure that the 98Ks that were converted that didn't make it into short side rail were also police conversions.
So much to it. You need a book for police conversions.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
that's good. We'll
No.
talk.
No.
All right.
What?
For
Actually, I'll tell you this. I have a friend of mine that lives very near to me who's a huge police collector. I could write a book on police stuff just
See?
going to his house. But why? I can't do it. It's too much work.
You just need a kick.
I could do it one day. He's got every example of everything you could ever think of. It's amazing. He's a good guy. I should name him, but I'm not going to, just to keep him anonymous so I can keep that to myself. So
all right. Next quick question.
Yeah, see,
By the way, when you get your Volume 1, you'll see there's a whole page on a converted standard model to 98K. Just by the way.
oh,
Nice.
exciting.
So just more impetus to have you get a Volume 1.
yeah, Tom, contact me and I'll make sure that I'll give you a good PayPal rate. It's going to be expensive, but it'll be worth it.
You heard it here.
Want to see the receipt?
What are you talking, like
I'll-
$50, Mike?
Oh no, it's going to be more than that because I'm the only one that has any Volume 1s left. You don't have any.
Yes, I do. I got a couple left.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's a bidding war then.
Bidding war.
Yeah.
Bruce, I love your contributions
Oh,
to the book.
what
It's
a
amazing.
suck up. You sound like everybody else.
Yeah.
That's why my name is second, because Bruce is the best. He actually is, though. He's a great guy.
All right, let's
All
keep rolling.
That-
Let's go.
So since,
right,
since
so-
we have the bayonet expert here as well,
Oh,
so
geez.
were bayonet blades blued during the war, or was this a post-war edition?
Bayonets began to be blued after the World War One.
Mm,
Um,
Oh, so
it
way
was
back then.
even the Weimar conversions, because all the bayonets in World War One were in the white.
okay.
There was no blued bayonets at all during World War One. Everything was unfinished.
So did they refinish already made ones during a refurbishment, or only new production?
They refurbished a ton of World War One bayonets in the Weimar era, post 1918. You'll see a lot of 9805s, 8498s that are redone, blued. A lot of them will be 1920 marked. And then when actually the first modern bayonets, aka the third model 8498, I think they started in 1927 or 26. Warsburg and Kirschbaum was a contractor for those blades, and they're very desirable now. But what's really ironic is some of the bayonets that were contracted out for the Reichsbahn, the railway police. Some of those bayonets were still in the white during the early 30s, and that's, to me, that's the only instance of original issue bayonets for Mauser banners being not blued.
And they were new?
Brand new.
Wow.
Wow.
Nothing's ever simple.
Oh, by the way, that's also in volume 1. I had to point that out.
Hey, there you go.
See, that's why I don't know that.
Because there's a bayonet, volume 1 has a really good bayonet section, and it goes through a real quick treatment of Imperial, but it goes through what we call a narrow pattern blades, and you'll see a real nice picture in there of no finish. It's in the white. Scratch built
Wow.
in circa 1933-34.
That's weird. I would think it was wrong if you saw it. You'd be like, all right, they should be blued by now. It's crazy.
No, it's really weird because in some of the contract bayonets that for some of the Mauser contracts, specifically South America, during the early to mid 30s weren't blued either. So the cutlery makers were still doing a lot of bayonets with no finish on them.
All right. The K98k sight has a maximum of 2,000 meters. And this was not intended for normal infantry use, but for volley firing. Is that a true statement?
It's probably true, but it's probably not. It's probably rarely used. A lot of the volley fire, they used heavy machine guns on tripod mounts. And what they would do is set up an intersection for a road, and they would set their MG34s or MG42s to volley fire that area. But an individual rifleman, I doubt ever used volley fire. But I'm just guessing.
So
That's
why did
just
they?
what I know from researching machine
So,
guns and things like. I know for sure machine guns were used that way on tripod mounts. But as far as rifles, I've
Interesting.
never seen evidence that soldiers did that. So,
so it seems like they would have figured that out in World War One. Why did they still have the sights going to 2,000 meters? Was it just because
because
tradition
Germans
thing?
are German.
Yeah.
God,
That's all.
2,000. Oh my God, 2,000 meters is over a mile.
You
So
can't even
far.
You can't
see.
even see anyone.
You can't. No, you can't see.
A lot of that volley fire kind of thing was it was for ambush stuff. I imagine. So, can you imagine setting up a squad of 10 guys and teaching them, okay, this is exactly how you hold your Mauser to get the rounds to fall in this zone? It
It-
seems ridiculous.
But like 1 or 2 inches up or down, and it's going to be way off by the
In the
time it
next
gets there.
in the next gal. Gal.
Well,
That's what the Germans call them, gal.
I don't know if you saw the Sea and Arsenal video of the Arasaka volley firing, where they use the wings on their volley sights and
I thought those
were
were
shooting
aircraft
airplanes.
sites.
Yeah, shooting airplanes with it. Did the Germans? Was this also for airplanes?
No.
No, the Mauser never had any aircraft sights on it.
And if you want to shoot at an airplane, go ahead, but you're wasting ammo because you're not going to hit nothing.
Yeah, what's
They're
interesting?
fast by World War II.
Yeah, you're talking about rear sight in the the distances. Mauser actually designed a short rifle in 1942, and the sight only went to 1,000 meters.
Well, that's more
Look,
reasonable.
the German training doctrine, the machine gun, the heavy machine guns, the heavy machine gun section of a unit was tripod mounted MG34s or MG42s. those guys were actually trained to do, I guess you'd call it volley fire, where they indirect fire into intersections, but it was all preset. It was
Right.
ambush stuff. So if you think about it in combat, the best laid plans, I doubt it was used very much.
Right. At the very most, it was used very little.
It's
It
it's
seems.
it's busy work for soldiers. It's the
Okay.
best I can guess. I mean, I wasn't a soldier in World War II, so I don't know, but just know what I know as a shooter, that's kind of ridiculous.
Hey guys, I bet I can hit that barn 1,500 meters over there.
I've done that.
Oh,
I've done that.
All right, next up we have a stock question.
Ooh.
So below the stamp on the stock, there's usually a letter, H, L, and maybe sometimes M. Were there any others, and what did they all mean?
Bruce?
Well, H is here, L is Luftwaffe, and M is for Marine or Kriegsmarine. So you got Navy, Army, and Air Force, basically.
There was one more, though.
Well, there was a P. I've seen
Yes.
a P, which I'm guessing
Polizei.
Polizei, possibly.
so they knew where these rifles were going at that point. They knew where the rifles were going at that point.
Up
I
until
assume?
1941, yes. I would say yes.
And the service mark stopped in early 42.
Oh, that makes
Prob-
sense. Because I don't see it
Completely.
on a lot of rifles. I don't always see it. I was curious of that. So 42,
Yeah,
they just said
after February, March, April of 42, the service mark disappeared.
So if they got rifles back and were refurbishing, they didn't care like what mark was on the stock when it went back out to whoever.
Well, Mike can go through the depot system because that's his chapter. But I don't think it mattered. I mean, if the stock was broken, they're just going to drop a new piece of wood on it.
Yeah. If you think about the German logistics system, it changed once the war got serious. And actually, Albert Speer had a lot of influence on how the German 98K, even though it wasn't specifically aimed at that, they changed the way the Germans did things because there was a lot of waste. Like, why do you have guns specifically for Luftwaffe, Army, Kriegsmarine? It's the same gun.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's typical German order. You know, the Germans love order.
Well, what's
And
interesting is let's take Mauser for instance. They actually they had a whole team of Army inspectors, Waffen-Amp team there for the Army, but they also had a naval team there too because Mauser and Luftwaffe as well because Mauser was a huge producer of aircraft cannon, but they also made a lot of cannons and especially for U-boats and smaller craft. And then they also made a limited number of 98Ks for the Navy, but they had that Eagle M was stamped by the approval officer for that service branch.
Bruce brings up a good
Wow.
point. So the way the Germans operated, they had inspectors for everything, but at a certain point, they realized that it was a waste of energy. So they had 3 inspectors in a factory looking at 98Ks. They eliminated 2 of them and made it 1, and that guy got an H. All of them were H marked after 42. But the Germans had layers of bureaucracy, and if as we were researching this book, you see the paperwork, and it's ridiculous how detailed it is.
Well, who was the guy that said, "Stop serializing 37 parts and just go
Albert
down to
Speer.
4"? That was
I
they
would
went
say
down to
Albert
like 4 or
Speer.
5.
I would say Albert Speer is most responsible for simplifying German production. I mean, wouldn't you, Bruce? Would you say that?
Yeah, he's the guy that tried to. It's called rationalization. Spear's basically the spearhead of the rationalization project, which is basically a massive simplification.
Which they went too far at first.
So that
So
was the stamped parts and stuff?
Well, no, if you look at 1942, they stopped putting inspections on everything. Like there's no Waffenops. We call them proofs. A lot of people call them proofs. They see a Waffenop on something, they say that's proofed. No, those were inspections. So in 1942, the Germans said, okay, we're wasting so much time. Stop inspecting everything. Well, we've got documents that show it caused problems because junk started getting through.
Yeah, if you want a really good example, in volume
Oh.
2, there's in the first chapter, there's a picture of a period document that it's basically a Waffenet document that shows the different inspections on the barrel receiver. But there's a little diagram there and everything's blotted out like, oh, not that one, not that one, not that. They just canceled it out.
Yeah,
And
but
they,
it caused problems.
you
And by
know,
1943, they came back and said, all right, look, we need to keep doing this
yeah.
because there's too many bad things getting through.
Like for instance, on the barrel code, let's assume you got 42D567, okay? Well, eventually they get rid of the lot code and they just put a D there, which is Dolan. That's a steel maker. Well, guess what? You cannot trace if the barrel goes bad. You
It's
cannot
useless
trace
then.
the lot. I know it came
Yeah.
from Dolan, but where, and when? You know.
Yeah, see,
So he's right. The barrel codes were reintroduced.
Right, that's where you get into these details that collectors
Yeah, so there's like 6 months or 8 months where there's
nothing.
limited markings on all these rifles.
Longer than that,
Yeah.
actually.
But what happens is a barrel burst in the field, and another barrel burst, another barrel burst, and all these guys that turn them into the Waffenmeisters, they're looking at like, oh, all these are BY-42s. They'll have a D code, but nothing else. So they don't know which Dolan lot was bad.
Yep.
And so they ended up having to rebarrel all of them with a D code instead of just the ones with, say, 747 or
Wait, so they
8.
rebarreled even good rifles?
No,
Oh, all right.
not the Germans. They're very thrifty. They only fixed what was broken.
Speaking
But
of refurbs, was it a normal practice to like reserialize things like bolts or screws or major parts like barrel bands, sights, things like that?
so I collect reworks, and I'm gonna tell you that that's a tough question to answer. Okay,
It's a
in
big
the
one 'cause
field,
if they reserial, that's a whole different.
in the field, no. The German depot system was uh
It's
the
actually
field
tiered. It's
guys.
layered. So
It's layered, right? So let's say a guy in the field, his gun malfunctions, he sends it to his Zug Waffenmeister. That guy looks at it and says, "Oh, this is a bad barrel." Now, technically, he could probably fix it, but what he did is move it to the next level. Those guys would move it to the next. They would push it up the chain of command until you get to a big depot that repairs guns. If they got a gun in and the barrel's burst, they may replace the barrel and the bolt. Let's say the barrel burst and it damaged the bolt locking lugs. At that point, they'd renumber the bolt and replace the barrel and renumber the barrel.
Hmm.
But if it's farther down the line, I hate saying this because
Did
it
they
gives
use the
people
same font
ammo.
though?
No,
no, it's different.
You could
it's
tell.
different.
Okay.
They would keep generally as much as the original rifle as possible. If they like, you could have a rework rifle with a new barrel and a new bolt, but everything else is original to the gun.
I have a 98K that's repaired that has a new receiver and barrel, but everything else is original.
That's cool.
It's the weirdest thing.
Oh wait, you said I hate to say it, but I interrupt you. Go ahead. I want to hear what you hate to say.
I hate to say this, but at the field level, it's not uncommon for a field Waffenmeister to put mismatched parts in a gun to keep it serviceable.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
I know I didn't want to say it, but here's the thing: mismatched is mismatched. That's the bottom line.
Well, I've got a story. I went to an auction decades ago, and the vet was still alive, and it was his estate that they were auctioning off. And so I think I bought a set of binoculars, and I bid way too much for a 98K. But he's the guy that actually brought it back. I talked to him, had my pictures, and I call it a composite gun. It was 3 guns put together, and he's the guy that brought it back.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
That's
So,
good. That's good proof.
Mike tells you that they could do whatever they could to make the gun serviceable.
But what year was that? Late year?
No,
late war?
it's throughout the war. Here's the thing. Yes, you can find a gun that's made from 3 different guns, and it could be original. But the problem is, FUDD could have done it.
Bud could have done it.
FUDD could have done it.
Yep.
So
So what are
the
we supposed to
value is
do?
exactly the same. It's the same value. There's no extra value for a mismatched gun.
All right. Unless it's all matching, we're gonna consider it all the same. A mismatch. That's it. It's a mismatch.
Well,
I
yeah.
can see it now. Field repair mismatch.
Okay, but that's the thing. There is such a thing as field repaired mismatched, but it doesn't matter because I could build a field repaired mismatch right now. I'm looking at a crate full of mismatched guns. I could go build one. It doesn't
You know
make it
what?
right.
Without any provenance, you don't know. But then again, it doesn't make it any more valuable either.
And even with provenance, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Mismatch is mismatch. Now, I have levels of things I accept. The hand guards, very common to break and be replaced. You find unnumbered, you find mismatched. If you see a mismatched band spring, hand guard, uh,
Floor plate.
yeah, even floor plate. I mean, I personally hate
Well,
that.
usually, if the floor plate's mismatched, they drop the follow-in floor plate. It got lost. So usually, the whole assembly's mismatched.
Yeah, and that's pretty common, but I don't hate those guns, but there's so many guns for sale that I would just buy one that has a if you have one where all the external numbers match, but the handguard is wrong and the bayonet or the band spring's wrong, who cares? Or even the follower.
Yeah, big deal.
Big deal.
But
A
there's
lot of
purists
people
out
are
there that it's got to be
purists.
matching. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the purists. The
What about
purists hate.
something like a safety that you could
Oh,
Doesn't
envision
bother
it
me.
snapping off
No.
though? You can
They
envision
break all
ways.
the time.
Doesn't bother me.
Doesn't or does?
Does not.
Oh, okay.
As a serious 98K collector, there's wear and tear items that do not bother me. Hand
So-
guards, band springs,
Safeties.
safeties, screws for trigger guards and floor plate. You know, the screws that hold the gun together. A lot of times when they were cleaning guns, they took them apart. They never got them back together right. It just doesn't bother me. Now, some guys they can't stand it, but I love the 98K in its original form. And if you've looked at enough matching quote unquote original guns, you find stuff like that. And Bruce will probably agree with me. It just doesn't bother me.
I've had a lot of banners with the replace safeties for whatever reason.
So where do you draw the line on major parts like a barrel band or obviously the bolt or stock?
Draw the line.
Like in or out in terms of staying in the collection. Is that
Yeah.
what you mean?
Yeah.
Would you
For
buy
me,
one?
in or out, sanded stock out. Shellac on the inside of the stock, I'm out.
But he hates the stock
He's a wood Nazi.
shellac.
I'm a
Yeah.
wood Nazi. I'm a wood Nazi. But if I see a mismatched handguard, a mismatched cocking piece, a mismatched safety, small parts, it doesn't bother me. You know why? Because if you really appreciate the 98K as a service weapon, those parts break. Have you ever seen an M16 that the Marine Corps used?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
There you go. Have you seen one? You've seen one.
Same
You
shit.
sound like you've seen one.
Seen pictures, yeah.
That stuff is wore out.
They are rough.
The Germans did the same thing with 98Ks. They used them until they were threadbare. So
Well,
I
as you
collect I collect reworked rifles. One of my big things I love rework guns because they've seen combat and it's very
multiple
common.
times.
Some of them multiple times. these guns that are reworked seem to be in a cycle of reworks, but very common to see replace stocks, safeties, handguards, bands, bolts, wear and tear
Yep.
stuff.
Didn't you get a double or triple rework from me?
Oh yeah, probably so.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I've
you
got guns that have been reworked 2, 3, 4 times.
so
They're
Kelly,
awesome.
Kelly, we're terrible at the speed round, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, we're bad at
What to
it.
say, but
Let's do it. Speed round us.
Good.
it's not going to be speedy, really, because you said you like your pure 98Ks. That's what you like.
I love
What's
them.
your favorite impure 98K variant? A Yugo, a VZ24,
I'm going to tell you right now, my favorite is the
a Norwegian.
The Yugo rework
Ooh,
98K.
9848.
so is it a 9840? I think they added that
9848.
at some point.
And you know why? It's my
Right.
very first 98K.
Oh, there you go.
I still have it.
Well, you still have it. Very nice.
Yep. I've sold it
Wow.
twice.
And you got it back.
I got it back twice. I
Wait,
sold it to my
You
brother.
sold it twice.
Yeah, I sold it to my brother, and just my brother passed away. I got it back. I sold it to my really good friend who's a Houston Police Department sergeant. And when he got done with it, he called me, goes, Mike, I've got something for you. Would you want this back? And he gave it to me. He gave it to me back, and I've still got it. It's my very first 98K.
And can you tell what it was before it was scrubbed and
It's it's funny you should ask that, because now that I've wrote the book, I should be able to tell.
Yeah.
It's impossible. They
Oh,
scrubbed this thing. But I remember when I bought it, I remember, and I can still think back to 1989 when I bought it. I was so excited. It had a Waffen-Op 77 on the sight base, or the rear sight, and it had like 3 Waffen-Ops left on it, and I was so excited.
that was it. That's
And
what started it.
it's what started it. I still have it, and it'll be the last 98K I sell.
Wow.
Bruce?
Remarkable.
What's your favorite?
Non-pure 98K?
Yeah,
No,
an impure 98K variant. So like a
impure.
Junker.
Norwegian conversion or
It's a
Austrian sniper.
French MBs.
Oh,
Okay.
You know, the
Yeah.
French conversions. 'Cause
so
that was
they
one
put
of
the
my
sling
first
bar there, and they put
sling bar, stacking rod, yeah.
and just the whole
French
story.
Star, reblued, but yeah, because I had one years ago, and it was one of my first really cool 98Ks.
No, that's cool.
And I think actually Mike ended up with it, believe it or not.
I
don't know
still
if
got it.
he
I
still
still
got
got
it.
it. I still got it. That's your first 98K?
No, that was like my third or fourth.
You didn't tell me that when you sold it to me. I was gonna sell that thing.
No, I
I'm
don't
keeping
sell
it
it.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got to keep it.
he's gonna hold it up. Guess what I got?
Now that I know, this is gold.
Put a
Price
little
just
tag
went
on
up.
that.
See what a
Yep.
podcast does? It brings out the inner self.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I
now you can
want it
sell
back.
it as Bruce Karem's the first,
Yeah.
third K98.
I would never
Oh.
sell it.
Oh
I would
my
never
God.
sell it.
Yep.
I love it.
Okay, speed round. Let's go.
All right, speed round. Now in the speed round, we have the Is This Special trio. We have 3 different Is This Specials. People asking, is my rifle special? Here we go. First guy. I just traded for a Russian capture K98K. It has the X and the black finish, but the Nazi marks aren't peened. And although the bolt is electropencil to match, the original numbers are still there and it appears to match the receiver. Is this a special case situation?
Yes.
I've seen some that weren't peened. How good were they on peening all the marks?
They sucked at it. But I'm going to tell you this, and all you Russian capture collectors can start looking.
Uh-oh.
I was at a gun show in Pasadena, Texas,
Ooh.
and this guy handed me a gun. He goes, "Look at this. What do you think about this?" and he handed it to me. It was a Russian capture, had the black paint on it, had electro pencil numbers. It was shellacked. It was all matching.
See,
Ooh, so
it
some
exists.
they didn't even change. They just
Every
refinished.
number on this gun was matching an original. I know how to tell fake
Well,
from real.
all right. So
It was real. I
the
could not believe
average
it.
was the average Russian capture. Like I used to hear the story, they take the bolt out, throw it in a pile. Is that what the
Everything was
average?
taken apart.
Oh, they disassembled them to
Everything.
the last
And they
screw.
just randomly put them back together.
Yeah, there's no.
So then there
There's
must be
no-
just a handful that were just like captured and just thrown in.
You know
That-
what?
I
It
guess.
was mostly a make work program in Russia, basically.
Yeah. In fact, I've heard that it was actually German prisoners that did all that work.
That
So
makes
wow.
sense.
take that for what it's worth. That's one of the in the ether that it was
Ooh.
German prisoners that did it.
All right.
All right. This is special number 2.
Ooh.
I or a friend have a Gewehr 98 that is Spandau marked that has been updated to a K98k configuration, complete with German World War II markings on the barrel. Is this something special that was done officially, or was this Bubba trying to make himself a K98? Okay.
Probably a depot conversion.
Yeah, I'd say that it's if you have a Gewehr 98 and it has Nazi markings on the barrel, it's possibly original because they did take a lot of Gewehr 98s and put short barrels on them and make 98Ks out of them. Depots did.
Yeah.
And did they have particular markings, or were they just
No.
kind of just put into the system and like, oh, here's another one?
Well, they'll have depot markings on this receiver. It varies
Or the
type.
stock. The stock is where you find the good stuff
Where would the depot marking?
on the wrist.
Okay.
So here's the thing: when they took a Gewehr 98 and put a 98K barrel on it, which is not uncommon, they put a firing proof on the barrel. Sometimes you can tell by the firing proof which depot did the work because all these depots kind of use their own thing. So, I mean,
All right.
if I saw a Gewehr 98 receiver like a Spandau 1909 and it had an Irma marked barrel, I would not throw it out with the bathwater. I would say, "Oh, let's take a look at it."
All right.
So
It could exist.
your guy that asked that question, he might have a good gun, but you got to look closer.
And as always, I send them to the forum and the books and all that stuff.
Yeah, have him contact me. My username is Mr. Farb. Send me a message through the forum. I answer all my messages on the forum. Now, I don't want a bunch of people messaging me about RTI guns because I don't collect them.
Please don't.
But I will gladly help somebody that wants help with something. I've always been like that. Bruce has too.
I think all the mods on the forum are like that. If you need
Yeah.
anybody.
We're here to help people learn about
I
98Ks.
already put you two in my Rolodex. I was like, oh, when I get my next K98, I'm definitely sending it to these guys.
Well, you know what? After this is over, I'll send you my cell phone number and you can text me.
Oh, all right, good.
Ooh, there you go.
I'm due for another one.
Nice.
All right, we got one more in the Is This Special, and then we'll leave the speed round. I just picked up a K98k marked with 2 manufacturer codes, BCD/AR, which I heard means one factory made the parts and the other assembled it. Is this true? And which factory did what? And is this a special one? I guess they mean, is it rare?
Called a dual code. And in that case, the receiver was actually contracted by a company called Astrowork. And the rifle was finished at Mauser Berlin. And the dual codes are very popular. They're fairly scarce. And they're
So
desirable.
the second code is where it was finished.
Second code is for
Right,
AR is
AR?
the factory code for Mauser Berlin. That's
All right.
correct. But you could have a BCD receiver that's actually finished at Mauser Berlin with no AR on it.
So how do you know that one?
Because you just look at the final proof on the receiver. If you see an Eagle 26 instead of an Eagle 749, then you know, it's a Mauser factory gun and the Berlin facility. Let me give you a case in point. And Mike already knows this, but there was a gun on Legacy Collectibles about 2 months ago, and Legacy advertised it as a sour sour K98k 1944, blah blah blah, or 43. And so all of a sudden, my phone is lighting up. A couple buddies texted me, "Hey, Legacy's got a rifle. You might want to check it out, and blah blah blah. It's not a sour." I said, "Really?" So of course I checked it out, and it was a CE JP Sauer, a CE coded receiver, 1943, but it was finished at Mauser Berlin. Really, really rare code combination.
Whoa.
And so I ended up getting it, and but that was again, Legacy didn't know what they were selling. They assumed it was a Sauer gun. It wasn't. It was a Mauser gun.
And
That's where the books pay off if you know this information.
and that was barrel markings, or it was it
No,
was just
if
was
they
the
would have looked at
Final
it,
acceptance.
they had a clear picture of the receiver, and on top of the CE, there's an Eagle 26.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
It takes years to learn that stuff. It's almost like
I mean, if you're
what
not,
Bruce is talking about is the advanced 98K collector, but it's still possible.
Right,
for
but
anyone.
that's
the
an
genius
example of
is
a gun
just knowing where to look to have
The
your
genius
books.
is pick one thing and get really good at it. If you want to collect Steyr, learn everything you can about B&Z guns, and you can find some deals. If you really you can learn enough on our forum about Steyr guns to really clean up. If you're clean up, find really good guns, just
Oh,
like dual code guns.
no, your forum is. I don't think there's anything you can't figure out and find using the forum at this point.
If you're diligent.
Well, what's amazing is I still go to our picture reference and look stuff up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, everybody thinks that me and Bruce know everything about 98Ks. The truth is, that's why we wrote a book, because we don't know everything. We need to have a reference to look at.
And that's why I bought a book, because I need a reference to look at. I can't
We look at
remember.
the books. I'll have people text me or ask me questions about SS rifles. I mean, I wrote those chapters, and I'm like, let me look at the book because I can't remember it all. There's too much.
there's enormous.
Oh, there's
I don't think there's any human being that digest all the information. It's almost
There is one.
impossible.
There is one human being that can, but
Who?
I digress. I'm not giving his name out because he's my encyclopedia.
Oh,
When
Well,
I
I know
need
he's one of the
something,
guys on the forum.
it's a guy on the
su-
forum.
He's one of the mods. He's
got
really
a-
Yes.
really sharp guy.
Rain
If I
Man.
need something, I ask him. It's like, hey, what do you know about this? And he's got an eidetic memory or whatever
Actually,
you call that.
you can. What's his nickname? You can.
No, I'm not giving his name out because it'll ruin his life.
All right.
But he has an
It's
eidetic
got to be
memory.
Rain Man of some kind.
He's a
you
Rain
can
Man.
message us.
He literally is a Rain Man. And
Raymond Babbitt, is that his name?
yeah, it's Raymond Babbitt. So no, I'll text him and say, "Hey, do you remember me saying something about this?" And he goes, it takes him about 10 minutes. He'll text me back with the exact thread. I'm like, perfect. It's like a search function. I'm not going to tell who he is because it's just
Yeah, I already know.
you know who it is. Bruce
Yep.
knows.
I know.
Don't dox him.
But here's
No,
the thing. That's the whole point. Is this is a community effort.
Yes,
We
K98k forum.
I
we
think
view
pound
ourselves.
for pound, we've got the biggest. I think we got one of the most powerful intellectual bases of any collector forum in the world. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
and
some.
we love new guys. I know that I know a lot of
Yep.
people say, "Oh no, you go on there with a new guy question, you get treated badly," but really you don't, unless you don't really want to learn. And we get guys like that. So you know, we have had some zingers though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey Mike,
You-
tell him about the review on Amazon with the one page on the MP44. You have to.
Ooh.
I can't tell that story.
Oh, you have to. Come on.
So when we
Review.
printed Creek's model, it goes on Amazon. We didn't put it there. Someone else did. And this guy gets onto Amazon and he says it's a great book, except there's a page on MP44s. If I wanted a book about MP44s, I would have bought a book on MP44s.
What-
And I'm like,
One page.
So he's mad that you included it at all.
yes.
It was in there for
So
context from
so
Sour.
We'll
he
tear
left
that
that
page
as
out
his
then.
he left that as his review on Amazon. Well, you know what? You're allowed to respond. So I responded as the author. Dude, it's one page. It's totally relevant. It was an SWJXE MP44.
Oh, okay. The
It's
XEs.
literally the proof that SWJXE is a code. And
Right.
this guy's throwing a fit. So I respond, and he finds our forum and comes on our forum and starts railing on us. Well, just so you
Jeez.
know, it turned into a S fest, a shit
Epic.
fest.
Oh yeah. It was
You had
It
to
was
you
epic.
had to look up how to kick somebody, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, come on.
Yeah, you don't go to their own forum and talk shit.
But we don't even care about talking crap because if we deserve it, we deserve it. But this was stupid. This one page
Right.
in a book.
Nitpicking.
This is nitpicking. It's still on Amazon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that.
Oh yeah. Go look it up, guys. It's still
Look it
there.
up. Go look it up. It was
Look at-
hilarious.
Yeah.
So one thing I was looking up on your forum was some FUD rumors and
Yeah, I love
shit from over the
this.
years. So
This
you
is
know
fun.
the K98k is probably one of the most made up about rifle of all. And for years there's been unverifiable info about the SS rifles, the laminate stocks, the Nazi markings, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and we got a lot of questions that were fueled by these rumors. So maybe we
Let's
could
hear some
clear up
questions.
some.
I want to hear
Do it.
some questions.
Play some truth or FUD lore.
Yeah.
All right,
Truth
let's hear them. Let's
or
hear it.
Fuddlore. So, get this. Firearms were being rushed by 1945, and because of this, in lots of cases, the rifle serial numbers did not match. This was a
Wrong.
2023 rumor.
Wrong.
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 That's totally incorrect.
Like, why
Yeah,
would they do that?
Now
They would
hold on.
not.
There was factory misnumbering, but not deliberate. Just mistakes.
All right. So here's where you got to parse the story. Like, let's say a BNZ 45. If you look at a T block BNZ 45, which is the very last gun, the very last of the serial range, when they were finishing and accepting these guns, if they had a bolt that didn't work, it's possible that they swapped gas shields. It's possible they swapped
Really?
safeties. Oh, you see some weird stuff.
Oh, especially with Steyr.
But it's not going to be a BYF 43 safety on a BNC 45.
Yeah.
It's going to be so close. It's going to be so rough that you're going to look at this gun and go, oh, there's no way they got this done. So in a way, the answer is yes, you're correct. But the truth is, no, you're wrong.
Yeah, I
If
think
that
this
makes
was
sense.
from a gun broker auction. It was like a 45 rifle that had some very clear parts that were not from a 45 rifle.
Right.
Oops.
So that's what it is. If
Yeah.
you got a 45 date rifle, I've seen some really strange things, but you don't see a BYF 45 with a BY 41 safety on it or a gas shield. It just doesn't happen. Sorry.
All right. So it's got to be close.
All right. Number 2, the 98B was called a carbine by the Germans so they could bypass the treaty restrictions of the Treaty of Versailles.
I say negative.
I say
Bruce,
negative.
negative. No.
Ooh, I heard that a lot too.
No.
Carabiner 98B. But
It's
I mean, somebody could morph that into carbine, but never heard that.
let me tell you something about the Germans and the Treaty of Versailles. Early on, the Germans acknowledged the Treaty of Versailles and they cared about it, but I guarantee you by 1925, the Germans didn't give a rat's ass about the Treaty of Versailles. And a lot of the secret codes that happened in 1933, 1934, 1935, if you realize they're all S codes, like S42, S147.
Right.
The S was meant to signify Simpson.
Oh,
Simpson was the only manufacturer allowed to make parts for the Gewehr rifles or
wow.
whatever.
See,
So that
I never heard that ever. That's
yeah,
cool.
I just dropped some knowledge on you.
You
That
did.
S code, the S codes,
You should write a book.
I should. So the S codes were actually meant to confuse, quote unquote, the Allied inspectors. But I have a very good friend of mine. His name is Paul Schomper. He is a dedicated World War One historian and data collector and historian and researcher. I'm just going to say he is solely responsible for me figuring out the SS rifle conundrum. He's the one. He says bullshit. They didn't care about it in 1935, 1937. They didn't care about the Treaty of Versailles. They actually didn't, but they actually did in practice by using the S codes.
So
Yeah, basically, they wanted to have the appearance of like caring, but they
They
didn't.
didn't give a
You're right,
shit.
Mike's
and
right.
They
then
did
so
not care.
is it safe to assume by middle of 38 or end of 38 they totally
Oh,
didn't care?
Oh
oh,
no,
actually,
way
I would
earlier
say
than
by
Fast
19.
19
drop.
I would say before that. I would say by 1929, they didn't care. It's
29.
way before. It's way before, but the Germans. I mean, this is all speculation, but I'm assuming the Germans were like, you know what, this works. Let's go with it, kind of thing.
Yeah, just a stamping, might as well.
Yeah, it's like, hey, look, let's do this. But they abandoned all pretense by 1937 when they dropped the S codes, or 1938.
Well,
So
the Germans
38 it
also,
looks like.
yeah, they
just
also
so
had
you
a.
know, for total clarity, there's no documents that say exactly what I just said about the S code being Simpson. But think about it; makes total sense, doesn't it?
Yep,
Well,
100%.
Indeed.
The Simpson were marked with the S, just a
Yes, they
single
were.
S.
Yep.
All the Simpson parts were marked with the S. Now,
What's interesting is that the early Mauser part, their early internal inspection mark was an S.
yeah,
So up to like 1936, which then when they reverted to the RW proof, you see S's stamped everywhere, just either a Gothic S or a regular S.
and I think
Hmm.
that's a holdback to the whole
Yeah.
Simpson thing. It could not be, but I think that it's
Oh, it has to be.
it's probably more of this is what we do, so let's do it, more than let's follow the Treaty of Versailles. I don't think they cared about the Treaty of Versailles. I think they were like, this is what we do, let's do it.
Let's put the
So it's
S.
all this is what I think, which is a lot of 98K stuff. You have to guess because there's no documents yet.
Yeah, it sucks.
I mean, we do the best we can trying to make historical inferences based upon what's actually, visible on the weapons versus just lack of published data.
Yeah. And lack of documentation.
We already went over these two here. The Germans didn't care about serial numbers during arsenal repairs, but we learned that they did add serial numbers. And then concentration camp rifles were sabotaged, and we learned that that was a true FUD statement. I'd hear that at numerous places.
Yeah. So here's the thing about arsenal repairs. At official Wehrmacht depots, major components were reserial numbered. Bolts, receivers, bands, stocks, but they didn't care about sights, bolt
Bayonet
release,
lugs, some other
bayonet
small parts.
lugs,
Yep.
stupid
Oh,
shit like that.
that makes it
So
hard.
it makes it hard.
Oh yeah, it's a black hole
It's a
rework.
black hole.
Oh,
Reworks are a black hole, and I've I'm in that black hole. I've been down that black hole many years.
The problem is you've got reworks with scrub bolts, scrubbed and renumbered, obviously scrubbed and renumbered bolts, but they're legit.
Oh yeah, I've got a BNC 41 where the bolt is scrubbed and renumbered, but they didn't care about the suffix. So the suffix is not scrubbed. They scrubbed just the top of the bolt, renumbered it, and didn't care about the suffix. So a lot of the I just had a friend email me pictures of an SS Gewehr conversion. And when he sent me pictures, I'm looking at the front band, I'm like, wrong. He's like, why? I was like, I don't know. I've seen so many of them now that it just doesn't feel right. It's really a feeling.
Yeah,
It's
that comes from looking at a million
so many of
pictures,
'em.
a million different websites,
Examples.
auctions, and whatever.
Yeah. And
Over
then
and
he
over.
sent me a picture of the bayonet mount. I was like, oh, nope, I'm out. 100%. It's fake. And he's like, why? I was like, I don't know. And sometimes
I get overwhelmed being not the expert. I look and I go, oh, there's too many markings. I don't know. I gotta look. It's gonna take me 3 hours to figure this out if this is correct.
Oh, it's gotten to the point where if the renumbering, the modern renumbering has gotten so good that you almost need that experience looking at hundreds of guns, and when you flip it up and take a look at the bolt number, it's like, I don't. My spidey sense doesn't tell me this is good. You know.
And that's what it is. Like Bruce said, it's that sense. Like when I looked at the front band on this gun, I was like, no, it's not good. He's like, why? I was like, I don't know. I can't tell you why. And it's something inside of you that
I think it's a modern font. I do. Believe
it's
me,
something that you see. It's something you see on a lot of fakes, and you realize it. You notice it. So I feel bad for people that are trying to buy high end guns because the fakes are really good.
They are.
Yep.
They're good.
They've
I'll
gotten
stay out of
real
that
good.
market.
Which brings me to my theory. If a fake is so good that I can't tell, is it still fake?
Well, a fake.
Hmm.
I wouldn't like if the fake was created in 2023 versus if it was
Yes,
made
but
in
if
the
a fake is
50s.
converted in 2023 and I cannot tell, is it still fake? That's the question.
Yes, it's fake.
I mean, a fake's a fake, but yeah, if you
But
can't
if
tell,
I
I
can't
mean,
tell,
you
is
never
it
know.
fake? Because I've seen a lot of fakes and I can spot a fake almost instantly,
I
even
guess not.
from a
Like,
bad
if you
photo.
can't tell, you're going to tell people it is not a fake.
I do
From what
not do
from
that anymore.
Well,
or you in your head, you would tell yourself that it's not a fake, so you'll treat it as a
Original.
original, or you might say could be, could not be. That's it.
But that's the problem.
That's most of my high-end German stuff, I think, is
All
possibly
right.
fake.
The high-end German market is going to get to the point, and this is my personal opinion, where you cannot tell if something's fake.
well, look at camel helmets. Perfect example.
There you go.
Yep.
They've gotten so good that even Mike, you've gotten to the point where you can almost impossible to tell a really, really high end fake from an original.
Yeah.
If the guy
No,
knows
I can
his
spot
stuff,
them. I can tell just looking at them. I'm like, no, that's stupid. Who would believe that?
Well,
But
is a
I could be
cultivated
wrong.
diamond the same as a real diamond to you guys?
Exactly. It's not.
It's kind of the same thing.
So this is my point. You just brought it full circle. At a certain point, a fake is going to be so good that no one can tell it's fake, then it's original.
And it's
And
worth the
that's
money.
where we're all headed
Yeah.
because the fakes are getting better and better.
But what if it leads to, I don't know if it's a fake or an original, so I'm not gonna bother buying it.
No, what it'll do is drop the value.
well,
Yeah, that'll happen.
I think the only caveat is that,
And that's good for everybody.
yeah, but I think the only caveat would be that, like, we've got a guy on the forum that specializes in metals, and this guy is a riot. And he uses micrography, and it's called Micro Joe. And
I love Micro Joe.
oh, this guy's great. He's this is a bunch of shiza, you know. So, but he uses microscopes, and it may come down to be able to do micrography on bolts and small parts. To actually look and see if they've been manipulated or not. That it may come down
Wow.
to that.
But you're not going to go to a gun show and be able to do
No,
that.
you're not. You're not.
Yeah.
You're going to look at a gun at a gun show and say, God, this looks good. Fuck it, I'm
And
doing
you know
it.
what? With most of the gun shows are really badly lit. So
No,
and
I'll
they-
come with my
and right-
card that says micrographied at a 10.
there you go.
You know?
Hey,
So
I'll
it's like anything else. You're going to have to defend yourself from the fakes. Okay, so for many years, everybody said you cannot fake Steyr font because Steyr font is really weird and
kind of primitive, you know.
it's very primitive. It's very weird. Someone posted a gun years ago, probably 3-4 years ago, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, it's good, but it's bad. The font was good, the gun was bad. Somebody has recreated the Steyr font. It's over.
Yeah.
You know, you have to take everything into consideration. You cannot just look at the font. You can't look at that whatever
All right.
that is that you've posted a
All right.
picture of. Dude,
So,
this
like-
is from latewar.com.
Yeah, this is
This is.
my pal Hale. I don't know if you know Hale from the forums. He
Yes, I know Hell.
yeah.
I've
He's-
actually met him. He's Fabio.
If you say so. I
Have
know
you
him as
met him?
Hale. No.
Have you met him?
Nope.
He's Canadian
He's
Fabio.
Canadian though. Yeah. I
Canadian
know.
He's
Fabio.
Canadian Fabio.
Wow, I gotta call him that now.
Call him
Uh,
Canadian Fabio. He'll love it.
So he sent me a bunch of fakes and like look at this. There's no way like this leaves
No.
the factory like this.
No.
How about this?
Oh, look, that right there is the M95 fakes.
Yeah, the fakes out of
Yep.
Miami, out of Samco.
Terrible. And what about this with the outline?
Bad. Oh,
Totally
yeah, that's
fake.
bad.
No way it has an outline, right?
Bad. Bad.
Bad.
Keep
Bad.
How
going.
about this?
Bad. Bad. That's
Bad.
easy. Bad.
It's lazy.
Bad.
Bad.
Oh,
Look how
it's
bad.
a gallery of
Totally
bad.
bad.
Now, was there a pattern to 4 or 5 digit, like or 2 digit, like on the
There is, but that
fans?
right there, if you're
That's
even-
amateur.
If you're drunk and you're stumbling home, you can see that's fake.
Maybe that was a Russian that put that on there.
Yeah,
No,
too much
Russians
151.
wouldn't do that.
Jeez.
Okay, look, I love this. The gas shield that you got right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you something. What I see when I look at that. Do you see the flat part that's yellow? The whole back of the gas shield is flat and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
cold blue. Cold blue turns to sulfur.
Oh, that's right.
Ooh.
I've seen that.
So if you see a yellow on a gun, just keep going.
Well, it's
Yeah.
also too flat too.
All right. So one of the questions was, Fuddlore. The last one was all
Oh, yeah.
BNZ rifles were used by the SS.
No.
I love that question.
So
Let's explore that.
No, so many
Everyone says
people have
all.
assessed, oh, B&Z are all SS. That's so wrong.
Yeah, me and Bruce. In fact, when we started talking about this, I was like, "All right, Bruce, we need to talk about FUD conspiracies." He's like, "What's a FUD?"
I didn't know.
He didn't know because we call them carny barkers or gun show carny barkers.
yeah, see,
Or-
FUD is a quicker way of saying that, I guess.
It is. I love FUD.
Yeah.
All right. So the big gun show lore is all BNC guns are camp guns. It's not true.
But is it a lot of them are? Look, I put your picture there.
Oh my god.
There's Mr.
I love
Farb.
that. Yes, that right there. That's Mr. Farb.
Yeah.
No War Eagle for you.
So
Uh,
yeah,
The
These are all the
SSGA4
SS ones.
guns are very special, but no, not all BNZ guns are camp guns, but yes, they are.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
But all camp guns are B&Z guns.
So here's the deal. In 1944 or 1943, the SS contracted with Steyr and said, "Hey, we want to build guns from scratch. Can you do it?" And Steyr said, "Yeah, we can do it." And you know why they said that? Because the guy that led the Steyr factory was an SS Obersturmbannführer.
Mm.
They were all buddies, and so the Steyr set out to make a program to build their. The SS wanted autonomous 98K production or weapons production from the beginning of time, from the very start of the war, and the German organization said just whatever. So the SS contracted with the Czechs to make some weird shit like the Panzerbusch 41 anti-tank rifle. By the time the Czechs finally finished this thing, it was totally obsolete. So the SS wanted their own rifle production. They wanted to be autonomous from the German military. So Steyr contracted with the SS to make guns. And in May of 1943, they started production. So here's the thing. The Army didn't realize that the SS was going to use Army parts to build their guns. I don't think that they knew that.
So they
And
thought they were gonna make their own.
yes,
Uh-oh.
but they didn't have their shit together. So they started making guns, and you see this receiver right here that you're showing a picture of? It's BNZ4 marked. And if you look just barely on the right side, you can see a 77 on the
Right there.
receiver. Look right there.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay, so that's Waffenamt accepted. So the Army made a deal with Steyr, said, look, or made a deal with the SS. I found the document that says this. It's been widely available, but it's never been put in context. So the Army basically said, if you build your junk, don't mix it in with ours. If you want to boil it down. So
Your junk.
so Steyr said, well, we'll just mark them with an S or whatever they decided. They decided on the S.
Yeah, the rune.
So that S
Oh
that you
shit!
see on that receiver is actually meant to cancel out that Waffenamt.
Okay.
That's actually the sole purpose of that S. And the way we know
Mm.
that is in the later years in like 1944, when you see receivers that have no Waffenamt inspection on the right side, there's no S. So
Oh,
that
okay.
S is directly related to that Waffenamt.
And what about two S's? Isn't it double runes?
Those are different.
Have you seen one?
No, I heard about double runes.
Lots of fakes with double runes.
All right,
And-
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to
and-
tell you something.
I didn't see him in the book there. I saw a chart that specifically said single runes.
Right. Because that's the norm. But I'm going to tell you right now, and this is
Breaking news.
no, it's unverifiable.
Ooh.
Unverifiable? No more bourbon.
Yes,
Um,
unverifiable.
unverifiable. I have photos of a BNZ 44 marked receiver with double runes. It's not
Uh-oh.
normal. It's an accident.
So what they do? Just hit it twice by accident?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's that close.
It's
No, you see a lot of double runes on a lot of fakes, though bad fakes. That's some reason it just
If you see-
proliferated over the years. The double runes. Oh, it's SS. You know.
all right. One thing
Yeah.
I've learned over
Yeah.
the years: never say never, because if you say they never did this, you will get kicked in the balls.
One will pop up somewhere from
Yeah,
someone.
I told a buddy of mine, it's like Gustloff never used walnut stalks, and I had a call from a guy. He's like, "Hey, I got something. It's kind of odd. You want to buy it?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" So he sends it to me. He didn't tell me what it was. I just agreed because I'm s- I'm I'm willing to take a chance. And so I go to my dad's house. My dad's a dealer. He gets the gun. I go in, get it, go out to my truck, and I start pulling out of the box. And it's a BCD4 with a solid not walnut,
Beach.
beech
Solid
beech stock. I pull it out. I'm looking at it going, this doesn't exist. It's a solid beech blank.
So you
Cut.
think right away it's real, or you're thinking it's fake?
At first I thought, no, I knew it was real. I could tell pulling it out.
All right.
And I'm looking at it going, oh my God, I was wrong. I said they never used a solid stock, and I'm stupid. So You'll never catch me saying they never did X, because they did.
Well, that sucks for collectors because you have to say it's all original or not, and then you might have to say
I don't know.
this is wartime
No,
updates.
here's
Yeah.
the truth. The truth is there's, and I tell this to my sniper buddies that collect sniper rifles. There's a I don't know what you call it. There's a range. Okay, there's a range of guns that are real. And then there's to the right and to the left. To the left is fake, to the right is what the hell? You know, it's
Yeah.
gonna be real. Do not collect to the left and to the right. Only collect in the middle.
What you can prove.
Yep.
Do not buy a gun that you don't know if it's good or bad, because it's probably bad. The
Right.
the the
Do
number
your
of guns
research.
that fall to the right, which are rare experimental versions, is almost microscopic to the number of guns that fall into the fake.
Yep.
So I was at a gun show at Show of Shows, and a friend's like, "Oh, should I buy this sniper?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "But it looks good." I'm like, "No, it's not normal. It's there's a couple things different." He goes, "Oh, I want it." And I was like, "It's a waste of
Well,
money.
that's the thing is that people will always seem to buy it. Like even with RTI, we were saying before,
Don't do it.
$1,000 people are doing it. That's
Don't
Yep.
why they
do
keep
it.
doing it.
Do not do it."
Oh, while we're at it, got one more Fuddlore.
Let's
Okay.
hear the Fuddlore. I love Fuddlore.
Let's see. German troops would sometimes discard their rifles and pick up enemy rifles such as the Mosin Nagant SVT-40 or M1 carbine that they favored to use depending on the front.
No. No.
Certainly used Russian, captured rifles, but they wouldn't throw their rifle away. Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they would
So
No,
be beat up
it's
for
just
that
like
one.
the modern military. You're issued a rifle, you better have that crap when you're done.
I
But
think a lot of it started from there's like a photo of a couple of German guys with the M1 carbine rifle, and I think it's like,
yes,
oh look, they picked them up. That
it's
was
very
it.
possible that they picked them up, but they also, whatever their issue firearm was recorded in their soul book. They were responsible for that. So
We
no.
had a guy in Germany, Stefan Hansen. He was a good archivist and translator for us. He had thrown up a, tidbit from one of the army notices, and it was a notice of a soldier lost his
Here's
rifle over the
Ordnungsblatt.
board.
It was in the Here's
Yep,
Ordnungsblatt,
yep.
which is the official army, like, newsletter.
So yeah, the guy lost his rifle overboard on a boat, and so it was. Mike, you might have read that where the guy was going to be, they were going to take care of him,
Yeah.
but the guy he was going to get in some major crap because he lost his gun.
Yeah. That rifle was
Yeah.
issued to you. You didn't throw it away and pick up a freaking M1
In
carbine.
fact, the damn rifles
Or
were
a
in their
Mosin.
soul bucks too, right?
Yeah. No, they didn't do that. A guy that was, let's just say that you're a squad leader and you're issued an MP40. You might pick up a PPSH 41, but your MP40 is still part of you because it's issued to you. Just like a 98K. It's issued to you, it's in your soul book. It's property that you have to keep track of. I'm not saying that a German soldier didn't pick up a Mosin Nagant with a scope on it, but even that was controlled. I mean, it's a military. It's not free for all.
It's
A lot of
Fuddlore.
guys like to pretend it's free for all, but it's not. The German military is very strict. They don't allow you to do whatever you want to do. If you
Makes
captured
sense.
enemy weapons, you turned them into your CO, and that shit was sent to the regimental, weapons collection people. A lot of German soldiers carried PPSH 41s because they loved them, but I guarantee you they didn't throw their MP40 in a ditch. That stuff was accountable. and you are accountable for your stuff. So that's lore, in my opinion.
All right, I got some on the stocks. There's a stock trio here. One is the Germans ran out of wood blanks, so that's why they went to laminate stocks. The next is the stocks after 43 were made thinner to save weight. And the last was the Germany experimented with plastic and resin K98 stocks. So did
Bruce?
they run out of wooden blanks?
I think they were always looking for alternate sources, and plywood. The thing I think the reason they opted to go for the laminate was because beaches all over Europe, and it was very plentiful, and it made great plywood, and it made sense from a production standpoint, and certainly walnut was a little harder to get, so. If I'm a manufacturer and I can use plywood just as readily as I can walnut, then I'd go for it.
All right. Were any stocks actually made different, thinner wise?
No, I don't think so, because some
No.
of the mid-war stocks are heavier than you know what. They're way heavier. Just the density of the laminate. Yeah, I don't think the profile is. It might have changed by, thousands or something, but I don't think there was any major dimensional change in the stocks other than when they went to Kriegsmodel.
All right, FUDs.
Now
And
there is a lot of what they call nutwood or low density walnut late in the war, which is really light, especially in 45. But and then in response to your third question, yeah, they used a phenolic rosin. They experimented with phenolic rosin or impregnated rosin stocks in 37. Mauser Berlin did the
oh,
developmental work with General Electric, believe it or not.
oh wow. And what happened? They wasn't good. It broke, or was it money?
Got to the prototype and field testing stage, and it just ended there. We've got a lot of documentation on it, but we don't know why they didn't implement it.
Hmm.
My
That's
guess
interesting.
is that it
They were
was
ahead of their
probably,
time.
from a manufacturing standpoint, it was probably more expensive and actually took more labor hours to make. Because if you actually look at the construction of the stock, is actually pretty amazing. And that's in volume 1, by the way.
Hey, there you go.
Shit. I was thinking I gotta look up that stock.
All right, on the last topic for Fuddlore, what's the worst piece of Fuddlore or misinformation that y'all have heard?
Oh man.
Oh, jeez.
This has got to be good.
Wow.
Oh, my favorite is that Mauser had royalties on every 98k produced. You hear that at gun shows. Have you ever heard that?
I don't know if I've heard that one.
No.
Oh,
So all the other manufacturers have to pay Mauser.
yeah. Bruce, what do you say to that?
No, they didn't. No, they were.
Let's see, my FUD.
I don't have any documentation showing any financial transfers between the other firms and Mauser at all. I can
No.
actually ask John that, but I think he'll
No.
say the same thing.
No, they
Do
didn't.
you guys have any unconfirmed? You couldn't put it in the book because it's unconfirmed, but like secret rumor that you think is true about maybe things they did at the end of the war?
Yeah, I know where you're getting at.
No, I'm just saying anything that you couldn't. I know there's a lot you can't confirm sometimes because you just hear one side of it.
Dude, we're pretty straightforward, just telling people what we think. And if I put out a conspiracy theory, I'll say it. But I
No,
can't
I
think of
think
anything.
no. We presented basically
We
stuff to
presented
the fact.
everything we could think of in the
Yeah.
books. We didn't hold back. If we thought it was a
Very nice.
conspiracy or if we thought it was unsubstantiated, we actually just said it in the book. There's a couple things in the book that we say it's unknown, especially in the SS chapters.
Right. I think I did see that. You said there's no proof of this, but
Right.
I think right now the biggest enigma is and Stephen Hansen was very trying to formulate a conclusion that there was actually 98Ks made at Buchenwald, and I still disagree with him. So
Yeah, there's
yeah,
people that think
Ooh.
there was 98Ks made at Buchenwald before it was bombed, but we're not sure.
and we know they made K43s, and I know they made barrels, and they assembled KKWs, but as far as we know, there was 98K production wasn't done there. It was all done in Weimar at the Gustloff plant, not at Buchenwald.
You've seen enough documents, right?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of documents. But you know what? Documents lie.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, no, I'm serious. So that's one thing that me and Bruce have learned, that just because you have a document that says something, it's not necessarily true.
No, especially when it comes to the SS.
Oh God, they lied a lot.
Yeah, I could see that.
So
That's my the number one thing I think of when I think of fakes is all SS stuff for some reason. I just heard too many stories. Fake
oh,
death
there's a
heads
lot of
and
fake SS stuff. But uh, one of the biggest lies that I found that's 100% proven is if you read the I think it's in volume 2. I'm not sure, but there's documents that talk about G24T production, and they talk about how many they're going to make, and they're going to convert to 98K production, and they actually list the number of guns that are made. But if you look at the serial number studies, it doesn't even come close.
Wow.
So
wait, which way? It was
way
under?
less, way less. So they made way less than they said they were going to make, because what the Germans God, I don't want the Germans to hate me, but a lot of the Germans at the time would make the paperwork look better than it was. That's best I can say it, because you've got documentation that shows, oh, we made this, 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 and then you look at the actual examples, and you're like, oh, they're like 75,000 short.
All right, so they
They
said
lied.
they
Might
lied
have
a lot.
embellished their production numbers just to make it look good. You're right.
Documents lie.
Depends what document you're looking at, I guess.
No, I mean,
Oh
yeah,
shit.
that's true, but documents lie. So when we're writing the book, we're reading documents, going, ooh, doesn't line up with our examples that we have, serial number studies. We
Well,
see what they did.
right,
We
that's
have
how you prove if the
right.
document's true or not is by looking at examples.
Bruce, am I wrong? That we have
No, you've got enough statistical data on reported examples to establish pretty good trends. I mean, Paul will back that up, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, Paul Schomper, that dude is solid. And if you go back and compare observed examples which don't lie to documentation, it doesn't match. So a lot of people put a lot of people put weight into documentation that is not 100% reliable, because a lot of these guys that were writing these documents did not want to go to the Eastern Front. And I'm assuming that they were making their case to keep their job over the truth. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Good point.
It's all
Yeah.
it's all
Right.
speculation. I mean, you can't read intent in a document from 1943.
All right, boys and girls, it's time to spin the Wheel of Milsurp. All right, the Wheel of Milsurp contains a number of Milsurp dilemma prompts for us to decide on, all related to the Milsurp of the show. I'll tell you the prompts here. We have would you rather, this or that. We have buy or pass. We have make this trade. We have finish this sentence. There's a number of things on here. So, all right, I'm going to spin it. All right, it landed on would you rather. I'm going to show you a few different rifles. I'm going to tell you what they are, and you're going to pick one of the three rifles, okay? You can only pick one. First up is a JP Sauer early rifle. It's an S147 1936. It's the earliest S147 serial you've ever seen. That's what this is. It's good, except the cocking piece, safety, and front band don't match. It's gonna annoy you. So the stock has some handling marks and a few minor cracks, but nothing bad. But it's the earliest serial you've ever seen. That's the first one. The second one's a JP Sauer, but it's a real late. It's a CE44, but it's great. It's almost pristine, but the bolt's a mismatch. Everything else about it is pristine. Markings are crisp, and it's one of the latest serial blocks you've ever seen. It's like a V block.
No, Y is the last.
Oh,
But go ahead.
a Y block.
The Z block. There you go.
One of those.
No, Y is the last.
It
Sorry.
was one of those. So you got that
I'm
guy.
the late war guy.
He is
Yeah.
the late
Yeah.
war guy. And the last one's a JP Sauer mid-war, 1940 147 marking, but it's an overall piece of shit with a sewer pipe bore, except it has capture papers from a GI who
Boring.
captured this. So, do you like the early one that's just good, couple of small pieces not matching? Do you like you're a late guy, so you might like that, the late one that's pristine, except it's a total bolt mismatch? Or the last one, which you can barely shoot, you'd have to fix it up, but it's a papered bring back rifle. Bruce, your name's on the book first, so you go first.
I'll take the late war JP Sauer.
Ooh,
All right.
I think
goes-
the 36.
wow.
Not
The late
going
war
for-
guy took the early one.
Not going
Yeah,
for
I
Yeah.
did. You said it was pristine, so I took that.
Yes, it's a pristine late one.
Yeah. So
I don't
I'll
know.
take.
The thing about early war guns that have a couple mismatched parts, who gives a shit? I like
Yeah.
it. Bolt mismatch? No, somebody did that.
Yeah, but it sounds like Bruce is okay with that. And that's
Yeah, the front band killed it for me though.
Oh yeah, front band mismatch. That's bad.
It's annoying.
Yeah,
But-
on an early gun. Yeah. Ugh.
Kelly, what do you like? Kelly's a World War One guy
Uh-huh.
that has just. I've tried to get him up into the World War II. He has a kid idea, but I mean,
Don't do it, Kelly.
Because
Stay
most-
with
Yeah,
World War
I've
One.
been staying quiet because I actually only have a single K98k and it's a Russian capture.
yeah. So
Me and you can
getting
talk
him up
World
there.
War One because I have some World War One stuff. But
There you
go
go.
ahead.
Let's see, which one did I take? That's a tough call. I would probably have to go for the late war in superb condition.
Yeah, you guys are smart.
Well, you know what I'm taking? The piece of shit one with the papers. So I
Capture
have
papers.
for the rest of my life. I have a story to tell.
Yeah.
I already have K98s I could shoot.
Screw
I-
that.
I'm gonna take it, and I have proof that this was returned. I'll have a whole story I'll make up.
Yeah.
Add value to it.
Yeah, but it sat in the barn for 50 years.
Right? It's terrible, but I'll have a story for that. It was
Yeah.
hidden from
Yeah.
the Germans underneath in a
Yeah.
lake.
You can make up whatever you want.
That's right.
All right, we're almost done here. We covered a lot, but it would take like 10 shows to cover everything of the K98. So we're just
Yeah,
scratching the
Even
surface.
Scratching the surface. You're right.
Right.
Yeah, we've skipped a few things. I guess we're
Welcome
already
to our world.
3
Yeah.
hours in. Yeah, we could have a follow-up one.
So
Yeah,
like
welcome to our world.
with,
We wrote 1,900 pages and we just scratched the surface of 98Ks. It's insane.
All right, we're gonna do an audiobook.
yeah.
Read the whole series.
So
Don't
so
do
like
it.
with the accessories and the slings and bayos and all that, instead of talking about specific things, do you cover all that in all your books? All the accessories like slings, bayonets, scopes,
Yeah,
sniping
the
rifles,
41.
Yep.
grenade launchers.
Each volume has an accessory section specific to that period.
Are there any kind of rare or unknown accessories that people don't really that you never see in the U.S. market, and even more rare than like the Scheisbecker?
We didn't put silencers in the book, although we
okay.
do have some. Actually, I've got some original blueprints from John, copies of that Mauser was working on. And evidently they had requests from the field for silencers, believe it or not.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow,
So maybe that'll hit the addendum. We'll see.
I never heard of that.
So yeah, neither did I. Actually, Hugh Brock, before he died, he had a ground dug one, maybe a prototype he showed me years ago. And that's
I have a
close as we
friend.
ever came.
I have a friend that has a FG42 that has a grenade launcher screwed to the barrel, which they said never happened. So there's a lot of things that the Germans did that we don't know about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
Wow.
maybe
So-
it'll show up in a book.
Hey,
Yeah,
there you go.
Maybe.
maybe. And sometimes we talk about the gun so much we forget that they actually shoot. You know, we're treating them like a piece of art. So 8mm Mauser as a round. I don't know. How do you guys feel that is as far as a Mauser round compared to a lot of people say 7mm is the best Mauser round or 6.5. You guys fans of it?
Actually, I did a study on this years ago when I was looking for a hunting rifle.
Uh-oh.
And
Here we
I
go.
was looking at 30-06, 8mm, blah, blah, and I came up with 280, 7mm Express Remington. I thought that was the best round.
All right.
I
we have
mean,
a
8
7.
millimeters is a good round, has lots of energy, pretty shallow recoil. It's a great round, but
Shallow
just-
recoil? Have you shot one?
yeah, compared to a 30-06 Springfield, that's way easier to shoot.
Oh,
I never got a bruised shoulder from shooting a 98 when I used to shoot my dad's 30-06 Springfield. Good
yeah.
grief,
10 rounds to a 98K, you're done.
man.
Yeah, I was gonna ask y'all, do you do a lot of shooting or mostly collecting at this point?
I do very little shooting.
I do very little shooting, but when I do 10 rounds, that's it. It
Mhm.
hurts. That shit's
Yeah.
it's terrible.
And do you guys reload or have you reloaded?
No, I don't
I've
reload.
I never have.
My brother reloads. If I need something, I tell him.
Yeah, Kelly reloads. I don't know if you reloaded 8mm Mauser yet though.
I do. Yes,
Oh, snap.
especially if I make some light stuff for my Gewehr 88.
Oh,
There you go.
very nice. That's another book.
like
So,
I like that.
and have you guys shot the Car 98 AZ? And how do you compare that to a K98K?
I
All
have
right,
I have not.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Uh-oh, he said the letter.
I said
Because
A,
you said Z.
Z, but all right.
You
it's
knew
the
I was
A.
gonna stop you.
I know.
You knew I was gonna stop you.
You
Didn't
know
you?
why? Because most people call it the AZ. I
It's
know the
wrong.
logistics. It's the A, and then it change. But
So
people know what I'm talking about at that point.
yeah, but the AZ, that was the experimental version of that that rifle. It's not. It was Car 98A.
Remember how liberal he was with the K98K?
But
Name?
this is different.
Not
I've
this.
been corrected too many times.
Jeez.
So if you're talking about a Car 98A, let's just call it that. Leave the Z. That's
Well,
not right.
there's the Car 98
Right now,
is the
Holmes is
first,
laughing.
I'm gonna
first
edit your
short
notes.
rifle, and then the Car 98A is the second version.
The AZ,
Oh.
I don't know how that got into the lexicon.
I don't know either. It was prevalent for a long time.
It's weird.
It's
It's literally
why I
in
use it, 'cause
none of the
people call it that.
documentation. I know, but if you look at like me and Bruce, we studied documents. It does not show up. There's no such thing as K98 AZ. Doesn't show up.
All right, I'll change my notes.
all
A.
right. So the
Car 98A.
98A versus the K98K. Have you
They're
shot them
exactly
both?
the same. They're
No.
the same. I
They-
have. They're the same.
I know
It's
they
the
have the
same
same
barrel.
barrel size.
It's the same.
Same
There's
barrel
no-
length. Yeah, just small ring, maybe a little lighter. That's it.
Just stop saying Z and you'll be fine. Leave the Z for
He'll
history.
probably call it Car 98AZ.
no.
AZ.
We're not Canadian.
Oh yeah, we're not Canadian here. Leave that to
Hey.
Hale.
What
The
the
Car
hell? Eh?
98 with stacking rod. It's called the English translation.
No, it's Car 98 A, and
A.
Car 98K is what we collect. The K.
There are other K98s like the trainers that are so expensive now. Do you guys collect those too? Like the DSM or like
No,
the
they're
geckos
not.
and
They're not enormously expensive.
well, I've seen them like $1,000 now.
Oh well, yeah, but in our world, that's
Oh,
fairly
okay.
inexpensive. But
Well,
um,
when I first started collecting,
I've
they were
had.
like 400 or 500.
Well, the KKW is the big brother of the, from a trader standpoint, and then the DSM is the little brother, basically. Then you have a 625, which is a completely different beast. But they're, especially with Simpson's book and him disposing of his collection. I mean, I think that was primarily responsible driving prices up.
Yep.
But I mean,
Simpsons trainer book.
you can still buy a nice KKW. I know a guy that just bought a real nice SA Marksman for just $1,000. It was a great price.
And I cheaped out and bought a Norinco KKW. Have you seen
KKW.
those?
Yes, they're
It's
nice
pretty
guns.
good. It's
Good
pretty
shooters.
good.
Yeah.
You could tell it's not a German-made gun, though. Within 5 seconds of fooling around. But
Yeah, I've had all the manufacturers on the KKWs with I've even had a Walther, believe it or not. But
and
they're neat rifles. It's like a 22 K98 K98k, especially on the latter versions of Mauser's production. They use 98k parts on it. They use 98k front sight base. They use the 98k rear sight base. Modified 98k rear sight leaf, same type of safety.
yeah, maybe that's why it's up there. It's using half of the parts.
And what's really interesting about that, real quick, is the Mauser produced a boatload of KKWs in late 1944. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, you
Like
wouldn't think that.
almost 4,000 rifles were manufactured in late 1944.
And were these trainers for the infantry and the army, or is
No,
this
I think
for
actually they went to mostly the SA and some of the civilian groups, quasi-military groups. I don't think hardly any went to the army at that point.
Yeah, I heard some called the Hitler Youth rifles that were
I think they were
weird ones.
used for training civilians and paramilitary, like even Volkstrom for shooting. That's my opinion.
It's amazing they're in decent shape then.
Well, a lot of the second series KKWs are in really nice shape.
That the civilians took care of them.
Well, they didn't. Obviously, they never saw combat, so they were just used for training purposes.
Yep. So on K98 adjacent rifles, we kind of mentioned sniper variants a little bit. Is that something y'all have delved in much, or kind of stayed away from due to all the fakes?
No, I collect Mauser built snipers.
Okay.
Both both low and high turret, and then ZF41 variants.
Oh wow.
So I've got ZF41s made by both factories in the Berlin and Oberndorf plant, and then I've Berlin plant only made ZF41s, a long eye relief platform, and then the Mauser parent factory was actually developed a low turret in Sniper in 1940, and then they stopped production, and then sometime in mid to late 1943 they started it back up again.
Did you share your pictures of your collection anywhere online or no?
A lot of my collection is in the books.
Oh really?
I mean, partly, yeah. I mean, I've got not everything, but I've probably got a dozen guns in the books that are out of my collection. And then both Mike and I, especially in the late war, a lot of the late war stuff is out of both of our collections, especially from the Mauser chapter. And at the time, Mike had a pretty big holding as a lot of late war guns, so a lot of the late war guns are out of his collection.
Wow.
But like we said earlier, I mean, we went all over. We went to multiple sources to get rifles for all the volumes.
And do you care about K98s used by other countries like the Austria took it to make a sniper SSG 98K and
Yeah, those were all post-war stuff. I mean,
yeah.
I have very little interest in any post-war use of that. I mean, the only my big interest, obviously, being a Mauser guy, would be the French resumed production.
Okay.
And what's interesting is a lot of people don't realize also is that when the French started a production, they just kept making regular Kriegs models at the Mauser factory. Those guns did not have the little side sling, for the Maz sling, and they
Just
didn't have.
whatever they were set up for.
They had enough barrels in inventory to make rifles into mid 1946.
That's cool.
So they didn't
Didn't
make
know
any
that.
new barrels, and then French. I think they made when they started up production. I think they made around 50 to 60,000 additional 98Ks over the course of a little over a year.
And my Polish friend Cruxter, I don't know if you know him from the
Yeah,
forums.
he's on the forum. Yeah.
Yeah, he was asking. The Germans were sticklers with their naming conventions, but they had two G2940s going around. One was the put
Oh.
together parts rifles, and then one was the continuation of the rifles that Steyr was making. So he was
Mike,
wondering why they would call them both that.
Mike can elaborate on that.
That's difficult because the Polish parts that Steyr used, oh, geez, that's a big mess.
See, that gun right there is not a 2940. That's a G1234.
Yeah,
Right. So who's calling it the 2940 though?
That's not. They're
Everybody.
they're misnaming it. That's not correct. Now that's
So-
a 2940 right there, assuming the side rail's marked.
That's the 2940.
Yep,
There you
there you
go.
go.
But why is this one called 2940? So that's not an official
No, they're
name?
wrong. It should not be called a 20. It's not a 2940.
That's what people used to call a G1234, or no, they call it a 29-0.
20. No, it's actually a G1234.
Oh, okay. That's the one Danny Milsurp did a video on that.
Yeah,
They mislabeled. They
that's
pulled up the wrong name.
that's actually a Luftwaffe version of the Colombian Model 29.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if you look at a Colombian Model 29, the fittings, the little way the stock's cut are very similar, and the Germans just, basically made some minor modifications, and it turned it into the G1234.
One thing was, I was curious. I brought this up. What do people say is their holy grail? Like, what is the most common, like, quote? I hate the phrase "holy grail," but for lack of a better word,
No, it's easy. There's a spectrum from very common to very rare.
one guy. What came up a lot was a BSW 36. Is that something like that?
Well, that's the only one we know is in Russia. So there's one in the world that we know of. So obviously at this point, it's the rarest 98K in the world.
So that's why. What else? Is there anything else you would say is like if you heard someone had it, you'd be like, oh, that's one of the rare ones.
S243G, the XAR41. I mean, super rare codes.
So early, that's beginning ones. Yeah.
I mean, depends. I mean, SWJ XE used to be uber rare, but now with 7 or 8 have showed up in the last 5 years.
So what is the rarest that you currently have?
S243G.
Oh wow. All right.
Nice.
And I paid an enormous amount of money for it, and that's a whole new backstory. It's quite a journey the rifle took to end its way in my collection.
Shit. What about did Mike have his must be a late war. Does he have a prize
Yeah,
in
Mike,
his
I
collection?
think probably one of the rarest guns he's got a double marked SS gun that I got for him.
Ooh,
That's basically brand new.
wow.
And it's a Gavera conversion, but it's brand new. And most of those are really, really well used. And I was
What do you
lucky
mean
enough to
double
get this.
marked?
They actually has 2 death's head. They actually had to re-index the barrel. So for whatever reason, and it's got a second death's head under the barrel line, plus one above it.
Wow. 2 death heads?
Can y'all hear me now?
Wait. He's alive.
Oh.
You're
Barely.
low still.
Gosh, I don't know. Bruce is lying. He's lying. No, I'm just kidding.
It's got 9
I
death
don't know.
heads.
I didn't do a thing, and my mic just decided to stop working.
I want to hear what are these next 2 books?
Oh, yeah. Bruce, I'll let you tell. You're doing good.
Well, volume 4, I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but it's going to be basically a follow-up edition to the first 3 volumes, and it's going to basically catch up everything that we've found in the last 10 years that didn't make it into the previous 3 books, and there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to go in there, and then some additional historical information that we've got from Stefan Hansen in Germany and John Speed. So
So all years from beginning to end.
everything, yeah.
It's
Very
kind of
cool.
like the old encyclopedia where you got a yearbook every year that catch you up
Yeah.
stuff. All the stuff that we found since then.
Oh, I love that idea. Because that's
It'll
the
be a-
problem with a lot of books. As soon as you write the book,
Yeah.
it's it's stuck. It's
Right.
gonna get old right away.
It's
Right.
going to be just different little things that we found to make it cool. Just cool stuff.
You got to give it a great name that encapsulates
That
everything.
is the tough part, is figuring out what to call this beast.
Well, why don't you name it, Tom?
I'd have to think about it like a you need like a epic name that makes like a composium or something, like some kind of
Yeah. But the next real book, I mean, that's just like fluff.
it's a warm up.
We're gonna do booty waffin.
Wait,
That's our
who?
booty waffin?
Booty waffen.
Booty waffin.
Booty waffle.
That's all the
Captured
captured weapons that the Germans used in World War II.
Oh, ooh, that'll be a good one.
Polish, Italian, French,
Wow,
Russian,
so and all those
Belgian, Greek.
those
Italian, yeah.
initials that they used.
Oh, there's so many.
Oh yeah.
Wow, and I hope you give some sense to their naming conventions with some of them.
No, there's no sense in it.
Revolver 637F.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you go to a gun show and you see a French rifle laying on a table, you pass it up. But there's a lot of cool French rifles laying on the tables. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and I saw a few rifles that the only way to know it was a German was the bayonet lug was a modified.
Some of them just cut twice
Yeah,
on
so that's
left and right.
I'd love to know all these little secrets.
That's the book. That's what it's going to be about.
Yep, you got it.
That'll be a really cool one.
But
But wait,
that's
all
years.
different guns, any gun?
All of them.
Wow. So you're going from one gun to every gun.
Basically
Well-
country specific.
Booty waffin. There's
I like that.
the Germans had booty tanks, booty weapons, booty uniforms, booty helmets. They used everything. This is
Wow.
just about the rifles that and it's really going to focus on rifles that have German depot markings, because the Germans used a lot of French rifles with no modification. So
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
we gotta-
curious to see because I never know. Was it World War I where they would put the Deutschland mark
Yep.
on it?
Yep.
Yeah,
Deutsche
I
Reich.
remember those Deutschreich, yeah, but
they didn't
World War
do
II, yeah, I never know exactly. Besides the 24T under occupation,
But sometimes they did. So you'll see examples where they did.
do you end up having to buy all these as well?
Uh,
Like, do you get into it so much? Like, whenever I research, I want to buy.
Yes. I've been buying
We've got a
crazy.
pretty good group of people that we can tap into for all those guns.
That's really what it's a collaborative effort.
Wow, that's awesome. And you're gonna use all your things you learned from your
Oh sure.
first 3 books now, so you're pros now.
Actually, the
It's
thing
gonna be a
about
lot simpler. It's gonna be
It'll be-
mostly a photographic journey.
yeah, it'll be easy. There's not much documentation to prove it. We just have examples to prove it.
Right. Perfect. I look forward to that.
That'll be a good one.
And do you have any other go-to websites or books besides your own and your own forum that you guys go to for shit that you can recommend?
You know what? Here's
Um,
the thing. I collect more than 98Ks, but if you're gonna study something, you have to look at other things. Like I collect P38s. The P38forum.com, I go there. Gun boards, I still go there. I'm a moderator there too. Uh,
Can you handle Reddit?
no, I don't go to Reddit. I don't go to Reddit. I don't go to Facebook.
Well, you're already spread pretty thin with your forum. It's a lot to cover.
It's a lot.
Can't imagine you going to too many other forums and shit like
And
that.
we have jobs.
And
know?
real life, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I think we covered a lot here. We might have to make it a 3-parter.
Awesome.
You might.
I think the only thing left is Mike's big secret.
the one
Yep.
last, secret that no one seems to know.
I hate K98s. What?
No. So if you were going to say who made the first 98K, who would you say it was? Mauser, right?
Mauser or JP Sauer if I had to take a second guess.
JP Sauer made the first 98K.
What? You heard
Yes.
it here, folks.
JP
Wait,
Sauer made
how?
the first 98K.
I thought they developed it at Mauser.
No, Sauer.
Sauer is the Sauer is the factory that created the first 98K.
Wow, that's a good one for trivia, Tom.
Yeah,
So,
right.
when we were doing this book, we were actually shocked. I mean, Bruce, were you shocked?
Oh yeah.
I was shocked too. There's documents dating from 1933 with JP Sauer ordering parts for the 98K system. And
And what was it? It was called the 98?
nope, it was called the K18.
Ooh.
K18.
Because I know you said 33. That's when they were still doing those 33 standard models. So I'm thinking maybe
No.
they got something. But if you're saying it had a different name,
If you look at the early JP Sauer guns, they have a dual band spring arrangement. Have you ever seen those?
where there's 2 springs instead of 1.
One on each side.
One on each side. So what they did
Right.
is they took the Car 98B and shortened it. And they
Hmm.
have a band spring for the rear band on the left and a band spring for the front band on the right.
Well, then it's technically different. So it's not the
It's different.
K98.
But they were making those in 1933, 34 is when they started actually producing them.
They didn't want, because of the treaty, of course, they were masking their production, right, from everybody. So that's why we don't know exactly.
No, it doesn't matter. Walther went to the Nazis and said, hey, we can make short rifles for your soldiers. And the consortium started making 98Ks in 1934. Bruce, when did Mauser deliver the first 98K pattern rifles?
I don't actually. It's either December 34 or January 35.
Exactly.
That late.
They were very late.
Hmm,
JP
wow.
Sauer was delivering K98K pattern rifles in 1934. So they were first.
I don't know the logistics. Is Sewell close to Oberndorf?
No, it's a.
So this is that far
Right.
away, and they
Walther, Sauer, and all those guys were all in Sewell.
Wow.
In fact, Zella-Mellis and Sewell are right next to each other. So
wow,
Sauer,
so that should be
Sauer-
Bruce, you might have to change what you collect. You might have to collect JP Sauers.
no, he won't do it.
No.
Sauer made the first 98Ks
They started it.
military.
They did actually. A lot of people don't.
Well, that's the big secret that JP Sauer made the first 98K pattern rifles.
All right, I probably would have bet $1 million it was Mauser.
Yeah. I've never heard that, so yeah, good to know.
Everybody thinks that, but it's actually JP Sauer. And it's all politics that caused that, more than likely. But they made the first 98K. It didn't pass. It failed. Mauser took over in 1935 with the single band spring. That was it.
And they tried to hide it until now, and you brought it back up.
I exposed it. No.
You exposed them.
Nice.
Cool, man.
That was fun.
All right.
All right, I think we said it all for these 12 episodes that we just recorded.
Yeah, good luck getting that into a one
Yeah, this will be some editing time for sure.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Bruce, Mike, appreciate it. Thank you so
Right,
much
no
for coming on.
Yeah, feel free to reach out if you need anything else. Be glad to follow up on anything.
Oh,
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
We had a great time.
All right,
Thank
guys.
y'all so much.
guys.
Fun.
All right, see everyone
you.
later.
Okay.
Laters.